Leadership TV for good and
edition of the favorite program on television, Inside Nigeria. Inside Nigeria is a show where we review and discuss some headline stories on some select national newspapers. And my name is Winifred Gebo, your host on the program. As usual, we have 5 newspapers on our menu for review this morning, including Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership leading story says Supreme Court verdict, anxiety has sacked Plateau lawmakers vow to resume. Anxiety has sacked Plateau lawmakers vow to resume. Lawyers warn, says a dangerous and lawless path to take. We'll use all options to reclaim their mandate. I'll take that leading story once again. Supreme Court verdict, anxiety has sacked Plateau lawmakers vow to resume. Lawyers warn, say it is a dangerous and lawless path to take. And PDP says we'll use all options to reclaim their mandate. Northern senators to engage Tinubu over relocation of offices. The story is on page 7 of Leadership. And in the business boss, we have Dangote, the Africa's richest man, as Forbes unveils 2024 list. Otedola returns to ranking, named among continent's wealthiest. Dangote, the Africa's richest man, Forbes unveils 2024 list. And above the masthead, court declares Fubara's 800 billion naira 2024 budget illegal. 3,478 repentant terrorists reintegrated in 7 years. And just under, we have bandits in military uniform kidnapped 30 in Katsina. AFCON 2023, Nigeria advanced to last 16. Kidnapping, FCT gets approval for tracking equipment. And FRSC records 4% reduction in road crashes. FRSC records 4% reduction in road crashes death. These are the headline stories on Leadership today, Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. And from the headline page, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Our stand today is research and Nigeria's case for economic diversification. Research and Nigeria's case for economic diversification. From our stand, we move to the back page of the paper where we have Tuesday column with Ray Murphy. Ray Murphy today is writing on escalation of kidnapping in Abuja, a case for concern. For more continuation of headline stories, log on to the website of Leadership, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we have The Punch next on our menu. The Punch leading story is still on kidnapping epidemic. Most abductions in Abuja, others not reported. Kidnapping epidemic. Most abductions in Abuja, others not reported. Victims' families. Okota, others gain notoriety as kidnapping hotspots in Lagos. While kidnap cases are underreported, AI private investigators. NSCDC destroys 4 rivers illegal refineries. Of course, the picture is right there on the cover of the Punch. NSCDC destroys 4 rivers in illegal refineries. And the story continues on page 29 of the paper. Makinde presents Ibadan explosion report to Tinubu. Dead, injured COP families get 41 million naira in Nasarawa. Dead, injured corpse families get 41 million naira in Nasarawa. Road crashes reduced by 22%, 2023 FRSC, which takes us to the ones above the masthead. CBN may raise bank's capital base to 900 billion naira, according to reports. CBN may raise bank's capital base to 900 billion naira. Reducing cabinet will affect performance, Tinubu insists. Dangote cement his 10 trillion naira capitalization. These are the headline stories on The Punch. For more, log on to the website of The Punch, www.punchng.com. From The Punch, we have Daily Sun. Daily Sun's leading story says, insecurity. Obi Bode George, Middlebelt Forum raise alarm. Insecurity. Obi Bode George, Middlebelt Forum raise alarm. Says kidnapping, banditry have worsened. And just beside the masthead, we have Supreme Court judgment. Magistrates Court denies 38 protesting women day in Nasarawa. Rivers crisis deepens as court voice states 2024 budget, redeployment of clerk, deputy clerk. Orders Governor Fubara to represent budget to legally constituted assembly. Drama in Plateau Assembly as 16 sacked PDP members vow to resume legislative work. Tinubu running inclusive government, says Christian Association of Nigeria can. Glow rewards long-serving staff with millions. Domestic foreign borrowing to continue as Ways and Means rises to 2,700% in 7 years. Lassa fever outbreak hits FCT. Emergency Operation Centers activated. No financially challenged person will be left out of student loan, according to President. AFCON sees Guinea fans die, jubilating country's victory. The story continues on page 20 of Daily Sun. For more, log on to the website of Daily Sun. From Daily Sun, we move over to The Guardian. Guardian's leading story is on 6 years after electrification projects. Varsities, hospitals in darkness as federal government's $105 million power project flops. 6 years after electrification projects. Varsities, hospitals in darkness as federal government's $105 million power project flops. And underneath that, we have illustration of the headline story. 127,000 students and 28,000 staff of universities to benefit from regular power supply. 4,700 staff in teaching hospitals, including 819 doctors, power 2,850 street lights, and subsequent decommissioning of hundreds of generators. Today, schools spend an average of 70 million naira monthly on energy bills. That's the headline story. These are the headline illustration for the headline story. 6 years after electrification project, varsities, hospitals in darkness as federal government's $105 million power project flops. Beside that, we have terrorists in military uniform adopt 30 persons in Katsina. Federal government to fund student loan scheme from education tax. Constabularies, how not to reform practice state policing for better security. Kidnapping, Tinubu okays emergency procurement of tracking equipment. Liberia's new president suffers heat stroke during inauguration. Crisis looms as sacked Plateau lawmakers resume in court. Northern senators fought lopsided 2024 budget, relocation of CBN fund offices. Discourse compared to meter 715,000 users this year to reduce 8 million coverage gap. Discourse compared to meter 715,000 users this year, 2024, to reduce 8 million coverage gap. Guardian. From the Guardian, we have THISDAY, the last paper on our menu. And THISDAY's leading story says Dangote remains Africa's richest as Forbes unveils 20 Africa's richest billionaires in 2024. Dangote remains Africa's richest as Forbes unveils 20 Africa's richest billionaires in 2024. Otedola returns to ranking, named among continent's wealthiest. Defense headquarters, kinetic approach to fighting terrorism no longer realistic. AFCON 2023, Super Eagles beat Guinea-Bissau to qualify for knockout round. Of course, on this day, we have picture of Africa's billionaires according to Forbes 2024. Unveiling Nigeria's trillionaires included Otedola, Dangote, Sowiris, and Rupert. The 20 billionaires on the 2024 Forbes list of Africa's richest are worth a combined 82.4 billion trillion dollars. $82.4 billion. That is up $900 million from last year's 81.5 billion naira. We move briskly to the stories about the masthead of this day. Court to Fubara, by withdrawing all suits, you have admitted wrong and liability. Nullifies presentation of 2024 appropriation to 4-member assembly. Declares invalid reposting of clerk deputy. Tinubu, students' law scheme to incorporate those seeking skills development. Of course, these are the headline stories on today's THISDAY newspaper. Today, Tuesday, January 23, 2024. For more stories on this day and other previous newspapers, log on to the website of THISDAY newspaper, www.thisdaylive.com. And with this, we conclude the first part of today's Inside Nigeria, brought to you on Leadership Television. Don't forget, we have second segment of the program coming up with our guests in the studio. Don't go away, stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria. Inside Nigeria is your breakfast show where we discuss and review some headline stories on some select newspapers. My name is Winifred Gbebo, and I have my Tuesday guest in the house. Is a public affairs analyst, Hashim Suleiman.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Of course, we are looking trendy as usual. Yes, we're starting off with the leadership headline story today. Leadership headline story says Supreme Court verdict. Anxiety as sacked Plateau lawmakers vow to resume. Lawyers warn says it is a dangerous and lawless path to take. And PDP says it will use all options to reclaim their mandate. Now, Hashim, this is a story that is very, very dicey, and of course, is what the editor-in-chief of Leadership Media Group, as we said, wrote on in his column, Conversations with Azu on Friday. I don't know if you he said, because this is a conflict of judgment that we have presently, especially with the Supreme Court. But you saw what happened in Zamfara when the whole the governor who even won in a landslide was sacked along with the state's House of Assembly lawmakers. And now we also almost have the same similar situation in Plateau. Yet the governor
I can't say that the instance of Zamfara is the same as of now, because during
then they
Zamfara,
also,
during Zamfara
yes,
judgment, you would have to recall that the Electoral Act had not been amended
okay, then
to the point that another party does not have a business
with
in another. But and I think again in the case of even Zamfara, it was an internal APC person
yes,
that actually took another faction of the APC to court, which ended up in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court agreeing indeed that there was no primary election, and that was just the natural. So I think for example, judgment is clear, but for this, I think honestly, this is just a consequence of all of the judicial processes that took place after the 2023 elections. Now you cannot say all of it, of course, was faulty.
no,
But a lot of it, I think a lot of Nigerians cried out. They really give their concerns as to the way a lot of the judgments were coming, especially at the appeal court side. And so I think what this is just a consequence of all of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and I think it's just right about time that the judiciary perhaps disabuses that any decision it takes will fly and it will go without consequences. So this is a sign that whatever decision they take will eventually have a consequence one way or another. And I think going forward they really need to do a soul searching on this matter and others, and see how going forward they should not joke with all these political cases.
okay. Now the sacked Plateau lawmakers are about to resume, which is the headline story on BBC.
Yes, of course. No.
So what is going to happen? Because PDP said it was going to seek redress.
Yes, because the thing is, look, it's clear now, and even the Supreme Court before now, even in the presidential election, when APM challenged the membership of Kashim Shettima of his suitability to be the vice presidential candidate, the Supreme Court was clear and even called them busybodies who were trying to dabble into the affairs of a party that they are not in. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so it's the same thing with this plateau. And so that's why people wondered why appeal court will proceed to give a judgment, you understand, that has to do with some other people, with APC coming to complain that PDP never had a congress in Plateau. And so I think it's a very clear and direct thing. And so therefore it's something that, of course, the lawmakers now naturally will feel that their right has been breached.
Yes.
Because
with
there
the Supreme
was
Court affirming the governor Mutuan too.
Yeah, that's the thing now, because the Supreme Court maintained its stand of the fact that another person cannot interfere into it. So that means that judgment now should also go down and affect the lawmakers, because that is what sacked them, which is perhaps now in contention.
Yes. So at the end of the day, are you expecting the lawmakers to actually do the right thing? The right thing now being that maybe use the same.
So I think I hear lawyers saying there is a room for that, for you to actually write to the Supreme Court for them to look at. So I guess the PDP is probably exploring all of that. But of course, whatever it is that you want to do, it has to be lawful at the end of the day.
All right, thank you so much. Now we're still going to move over to another trending story. It's because the Punch newspaper has been on the story since a week plus now, and still on it, talking about kidnapping epidemic. That's what captured it. Kidnapping epidemic, and it says most abductions in Abuja, others not reported. This is contrary to what the FCT minister said, that most of the kidnappings as being reported overhyped. So what do we have here? Yeah,
in all honesty, I think this looks like the true state of things, because after all, how much deep, and so perhaps, I think the government should be taking all of this kind of comments as more like feedbacks. Antagonistic point of view, there will always be issues. And so for me, I feel, yes, indeed, that the Abuja security architecture should be well looked into.
Yes, and military camouflage.
Yeah, but I think that's their modus operandi generally. Not even now, even as far back as so many years ago, the armed robbers, a lot of the times when they stop you on the road in the midnight, especially, there are police who are just doing checkpoint, and it's just when you stop and you now figure out that. So I think it's their modus operandi of always camouflaging on all these uniforms and
were tackled, destabilize the community. It's just the issue of relocation of some offices to Lagos. Of course,
exactly.
It's not going well with some select people. Talking about Arewa and Northern Elders Forum, they have raised outcry over it. So, what is your take on this?
So even today, I was in my WhatsApp group today. I have a WhatsApp group where we discuss, and I had put this on because yesterday a TV station interviewed the chairman of the board of trustees of Arewa Consultative Forum, Bashir Lalhatu. Look, the reason for Abuja being the central part of this country being brought for to foster unity. So when you begin to say taking Ministry of Agri to Makodi because they are the ones who are farming all the, do you understand the point? So from that point of view, I now understood that these elders are doing a lot to keep this country one. And he insisted that for them, and in fact the interview even went further to say, look, but a northerner was president for 8 years. And why didn't he, whether favored or not, or whatever? He said that's the thing people don't understand, that most northerners, especially in their own class, they don't see North, they see Nigeria. And that's why a Buhari left Kano to Meduguri Road undone, left Abuja to Kano Road undone until he left, but ensured he completed second Niger Bridge and ensured he completed Lagos to Ibadan. So he said for them, Buhari was not a northern president. He was just a northerner that was a president in Nigeria. So honestly, I think I look at it, and that's why I also like the way you put it, that if not looked into very well, has a tendency. So you can see from the comments of what Bashir Lahatu is saying is the fact that the idea of having all of this is just to foster unity. So anybody doesn't feel like they're left out or anything, something related to that. You understand? And indeed, you can see how much furor the topic is really causing, because it's everywhere, and really it's becoming very serious.
But the reason given by the aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, was the fact that there have been no offices for this staff that was relocated to Abuja during Buhari's time, and that they are spending so much money.
But do you know why all of those kind of excuses may not suffice?
Yes.
There is no money that is too much to spend for national unity, to foster national unity. Because without the country, without unity, there is nothing that can happen. Moreover, Nigeria's aviation industry is pretty buoyant enough. They generate as much revenue and what have you. So really, should building an office now be a reason why Nigeria, a multi-billion-dollar economy, should have reason to dismember? I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. So for me, I mean, because at the end of the day, look at the level of furor. Look at the optics on Mr. President. Just because of maybe some little money that would have been used to provide an office. In fact, I am aware that EFCC seizes a whole lot of properties and sometimes government agencies approach them to give them those buildings to use. We understand. Like the Voice of Nigeria one here.
I was just going to say that.
It was seized and given to them with a very, very beautiful building. So really, when you now say those are the reasons, they may be, they understand. So, and these elders and people who came to speak, if you heard that man yesterday, you understand they just didn't come out to speak for nothing. They do understand the architecture of Nigeria and how much they themselves with others have put in deliberate effort at putting the country and remaining. And if you look in the past, a lot of almost all the past leaders, especially the democratic ones, if you check periodically, they always use the statement that Nigeria is one indivisible nation. Yes. Periodically, it is deliberate. They have to put it in, so they always continue to, how will I say, put out reasons why people have to take unity more serious. But then,
yes, and so throwing his weight behind the issue is the northern senators. Of course, they said they are going to engage President Tinubu over that. And in any case, they also
because their people are hitting them now.
Yes,
they know.
But they also raised another objection, which is the fact that the 2024 Appropriation Act was lopsided in favor of the North. And
so we haven't seen the detail of that. So
yes, I read it, and of course I was kind of like, but budget process that you
and
all,
you all look partook
you all
exactly. That's what
partook
I
on.
wanted
Why
to say.
are you talking?
No, that one honestly.
Coming out now
That
after
one will not solve
it has been passed
exactly.
into law. That you're just coming out now. This is something that you all looked into.
They all
could
looked
have,
into it and
yes,
passed
draw
it,
attention to
and
it
it has
that,
been signed. It has become a law.
it has become a law. That why didn't you speak? Why coming
No,
out now?
that will not fly, honestly.
Yes, it's certainly not. Now, at least there's something news to cheer about. There's something to cheer about, and that is our very own Nigeria's riches, and of course, Africa's riches. Dangote. Forbes has come out to say that Dangote remains Africa's richest, as it unveiled 20 Africa's richest billionaires in 2024.
He's back again.
And of course, our very own Femi Otedola also made the ranking. What do you have to say? Because when it's
some
dropped,
weeks ago, I think they had
ago
said he had
dropped
dropped to second there, but nice. But and it's good to.
And of course, some naysayers were like, "Wow," attributing it to President Tinubu that it was his policies that may have affected it. But now, Forbes has come out to say Dangote still remains Africa's richest.
Beautiful. That's a very sweet story, honestly, because I think that initial report had a tendency of like maybe dampening one's morale and all of that, and even the whole Nigerian market image and all of that. But I think it's so soothing to see that he has bounced back and he stays on top there. Because after all, I mean, he has started receiving products to his refinery now. Things are happening, you understand, and so I think it's going to be difficult to really get him off there, especially now that he has even entered the petrochemical sector.
Okay. So what are we going to be expecting? Because he told us, was it February that he told us that his refinery will be up and about?
It's up and about.
What impact is that going to make?
Oh, there's not going to be any much. The impact is, let me not say there's not going to be money. The impact is just going to be more about creating more opportunities, reducing the need for shipping in products and all of that. Other than that, the price of petrol. No, the price of petrol is controlled by the price of crude oil. If the crude oil price rises, the petrol price rises, and so that's not an area where anybody can do anything about. But really, in terms of creating now local opportunities, vast of them, there's going to be. Do you understand? Our transporters.
No, the NNPC did say that they were going to privatize, sort of, because they were going to hand over the turnaround Port Harcourt refinery to private hands. We don't know how far it's gone and what impact would that make.
Yeah, of course, everybody knows that private hands always, even though, depending on how you do the privatization or whatever you call it, depending on how transparent it is, then you'll be able to get the best bidder who would at least have the intention to probably, but it becomes worse when there's maybe any sort of favoritism that now ends up giving somebody who's not competent and nothing will come out of it. Just like the case you're having with the discourse, some of the discourse that couldn't.
Anyway, many Nigerians play that decision that why could they have spent so much to turn around before not handing over? Why didn't they do so just before?
Exactly, so much money. That's the point. So that's why that's all this now revolve around the transparency. I'm saying are all these things well thought out so that at the end of the day we get the required results rather than now look at this spending a lot of money choosing to give it. So how are Nigerians sure that when you're doing the process of the privatization is going to be transparent in such a way that the most competent bidder will come and take it over?
Okay. Now talking about still on this refinery issue, there were calls that federal government should also license more private individuals for what do you call modular refinery, so that we have the more the merrier, and this can actually go a long way in reducing the cost of fuel pump price.
I think that's easier said than done, because when you talk of local investors, then you also talk about access to capital. To build a modular refinery is capital intensive, and so
or state government.
Perhaps if the state government choose to want to, but can governments really do
But there are
anything
some,
business
like
in
one
Nigeria?
in Edo State and few
Yeah,
others, but
no,
it
those are
has not
private.
really
No,
made impact.
no, I think in that area they are serving, and a lot of these modular refineries they don't do PMS. I think it's
Okay.
diesel and other
Okay.
products like that. So at the end of the day, you would see that the products are there, but Nigeria is 200 million people, madam. You still need more and more and more and more of these refineries. But I'm saying, how many Nigerian investors, apart from the Dangotes who have already done, where Boa is also building one anyway, how many of them really have the capital needed to be able to build these modular refineries? And then don't also rule out the very, very difficult environment of going to go and build those things. You have to be faced with a lot of community issues,
Yes,
this
this is.
challenge and that challenge. So I think really while we look for those who can, but I think we really need to improve the Nigerian investment culture and the environment generally.
All right. Thank you so much. That is a takeaway from today's Inside in Nigeria. We need to improve the culture of the business environment. Although federal governments, successive governments, and even the present one did say that we have they want to do ease of doing business.
Well, we're hopeful to see that. We're hopeful to see that. So the businesses will cope up because only the businesses can employ the people.
Yes.
So once the businesses are there, the economy will, people's personal economy will improve. So we really hope to see something in that light.
All right, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the
Thank
program,
you,
Hashim
thank you,
Suleiman.
thank you.
All viewers, I've had the pleasure of having with me in the studio a public affairs analyst, Hashim Suleiman, to throw light on some trending stories today, Tuesday, January 23, 2024. And of course, my name is Winifred Obulobo. Don't forget, same time, same station tomorrow is another day, another appointment. And just before we go, don't forget to log in at 12 for our news at noon. My name is Winifred Obulobo. See you.